It's time for Outdoors Bound with George Noliff, sponsored by Lynchburg Arms and Indoor Shooting Range.
Well, Outdoors Bound this morning, you might think this story is about fishing. And it is, but it's also a story about hope and how fly fishing helped to save a man's life. Our George Noliff has his story.
Every river tells a story. And every cast is an act of optimism. You throw something into uncertainty, believing something good can happen.
The fact that every single cast, every single time you're on the water, every cast is filled with hope.
Meet Dan Rice, fishing guide, scientist, outdoorsman, entrepreneur, author. Dan's passionate about sharing that eternal hope of every cast, whether guiding anglers down a river,
got some nice ledges, got the grass and the seas,
or writing stories late into the night. Dan keeps returning to the same idea.
I'd always liked to write, and I decided that I was going to put a real focus on that to try to tell stories that could help people that would have the impact that stories I had read had on me. You just slurp that thing.
Dan owns Riverfeet Fly Fishing and guides on various rivers in Southwest Virginia and Tennessee. Today, we were on the North Holston near Abingdon, Virginia.
Boom, baby. Nicely done, man.
net, man, in the net.
There we go.
Dan says rivers like the North Holston and the stories they reveal saved his life because his youth was not an easy one.
Several friends murdered, a couple friends from those years, life in prison, that sort of thing. The greatest compliment I get nowadays is when somebody hears that story about me and says they don't believe it. And I owe that to fly fishing. I owe that to being alone in wild places. I owe that to encounters with wildlife. So downtrodden but full of hope, and he wished for them nothing more than what he knew now, that it was all possible. The pain was worth the reward if you followed it through the bends and hills and met your demon square in the jaw with a smile upon your face.
Those are words from Dan's most recent novel, Young but Free. Though it's fiction, Dan calls it semi-autobiographical, a transformation story. For Dan, transformation began with solitude, a fly rod, a tent, and wild places.
So I moved up into the Northwoods, moved up into Ely, Minnesota, and started spending time even deeper in the wilderness doing those things, doing that fishing, camping, spending months alone in a tent deep in wilderness areas, no phone, no water, no electricity, fly rod, canned food, moose and bears and wolves howling.
For Dan, every trip into the woods, every float down a river, every cast writes another chapter.
It's also a huge responsibility too, right? Because if we're saying we're writing part of the river story, what story do we want to write?
What story do we want to write? How y'all doing there, folks? Dan's next chapter involves his new book, Young but Free. It'll go on sale next month. Now, I got a hold of an advanced copy. I'm no literature critic, but I could not put it down. In addition to writing and guiding, Dan founded Riverfeet Press, where he helps other outdoors writers bring their stories to life.
Okay, George, this is so cool. And you usually come back out from a shoot and you're always happy and talking about the fishing and stuff, but you were especially happy on this day you got back from this shoot with Dan on the North Holston. Tell us, why was this trip so special?
First, Dan's a great guide. Second, the North Holston is a smallmouth bass mecca. Third, and I think we got some video. Yeah, I fished a lot of pretty places, but that float on the North Holston may be the prettiest. The scenery is stunning. It's wild, very little development. In fact, there are only 2 public access points on the stream in Virginia. Dan, fortunately, has agreements with landowners to put in and take out along the way, so booking a guide trip may be the best and possibly the only way you're going to get a chance to fish it. Now, I'm going to have an outdoors bound road trip segment on the North Holston in a few weeks because, trust me, this is a place you're going to want to go.
All righty, George, thanks. It looks beautiful.